and rocket-propelled grenades. By now it's pretty clear why the Leopard 1A5 has the potential to be a massive game-changer for Ukraine. Yes, it's an older tank, with most having been manufactured in the 80s, but it's fast and agile, meaning it can easily evade Russia's clunkier and heavier T-72s. It also has an extremely accurate gun that fires quicker than most Russian tanks can manage, and if equipped with lethal, penetrative sabot rounds, Ukraine could use its Leopards to take out opposing tank crews while leaving the machinery itself in good enough condition to reclaim and use against the very country that built it. That's terrifying for Russia. So too is the fact that Ukraine is likely to use its new shipments of Leopard 1A5s to equip the recently formed 155th Mechanized Division, which already has Leopard 2 tanks, along with several others of the 12 heavy brigades it created toward the end of 2024. Each of those brigades typically has a tank battalion containing 31 tanks. With at least 155 Leopard 1A5s making their way into Ukraine in the coming months, that means there should be enough to fully equip 5 of these battalions. Simply put, Ukraine's ground forces are getting stronger at a time when Russia is still struggling to account for its own massive tank losses. However, Ukraine will still have some work to do to boost its new fleet of tanks, specifically when it comes to its defensive capabilities. They already have polycarbonate armor panels thanks to the Danes, who used the tanks before they arrived in Ukraine. The Ukrainians will likely boost these defenses by equipping their new Leopard 1A5s with anti-drone netting and reactive armor, so they're capable of standing up to the more agile threats Russia can present to its tanks. Those defenses are already in place on the 58 Leopard 1A5s Ukraine have been receiving up to September 2024. Only 6 of those tanks have been confirmed destroyed, meaning Ukraine has the majority of them still available for use. Add another 100 or so to that stockpile, and the receiving up to September 2024. Are capable of standing up to the more agile threats Russia can present to its tanks. Those defenses are already in place on the 58 Leopard 1A5s Ukraine have been receiving up to September 2024. Only 6 of those tanks have been confirmed destroyed, meaning Ukraine has the majority of them still available for use. Add another 100 or so to that stockpile, and the country now has a tank force that's capable of causing some serious damage to Russia's ground forces. The Leopard 1A5 isn't a silver bullet capable of winning the war in Ukraine, but it is an immensely useful weapon to which Ukraine has only had limited access until now. With a local repair plant and greater commitments from its allies in place, Ukraine now has a source of very effective tanks that it can use to enhance its operations throughout the country. That's the last thing Putin wants when he's trying so hard to claim more territory in the Donbass. But what do you think about the Leopard 1A5 and its arrival en masse in Ukraine? Will Ukraine get its hands on the specific types of rounds it needs to make the tanks super effective? How will Russia counter the Leopard?
Team Fortress 2 Classic, Open Fortress, Pre-Fortress 2, Lambda Fortress, Fortress Connected, and many others are games that are built on top of a semi-leaked source code for Team Fortress 2 that up until this point have not been allowed to exist in any official capacity on Steam. Team Fortress 2 Classic and Open Fortress in particular are quite popular mods within the TF2 community, however they require external launchers to even function. In September of 2021, a developer on the Team Fortress 2 Classic team contacted some individuals at Valve requesting the ability to publish the content on Steam. The response? Valve's legal department requesting that the development of these mods cease temporarily, as the codebase they were using was not official. What followed was a promise that Valve will make some effort to bring these types of things officially onto Steam legally, and that was 3.5 years ago. The entire time since, not a word has been uttered from Valve. The prolonged silence from Valve and Valve Legal regarding their blessing on the development of these projects led to the teams just continuing along, and to this day have maintained player bases until right now, February 18th, 2025. Valve has officially released the source code for Team Fortress 2 as part of an update to their own Source Engine development kit. The Source 2013 development kit is the base by which pretty much every Half-Life style modification is made. It, however, has not been updated since 2015 and does not support any of Team Fortress 2's features. That's why things like Team Fortress 2 Classic required the leaked source code. Until today, Source 2013 received a massive update that not only brought the entirety of Team Fortress 2's source code officially and legally to be used for any Team Fortress 2 projects to then officially launch on Steam, but also brought all of the new changes that came along the 20th anniversary Half-Life 2 update. This engine update also went live in the retail builds of Counter-Strike Source, Day of Defeat Source, Half-Life Deathmatch Source, Team Fortress 2, and Half-Life 2 Deathmatch. All of these games being brought to 64-bit, all of these games being given VScript support, and all of these games being brought up to date with the newest and latest builds of Source Engine. So while all of the headlines you're going to be seeing are about how things like Open Fortress and Team Fortress 2 Classic are now allowed to launch on Steam, this is larger than that. The source code that was published is complete. It is the most updated version of the Team Fortress 2 code that has ever been seen publicly. There have been two major leaks of TF2 code, once in 2012 and another in 2018, and both of those were from before Jungle Inferno was finished. In the interim, while updates have slowed down, massive changes have occurred to the engine itself, and mod developers now have access to all of it. The source code itself includes economy code that was assumed to be secret and was not allowed to be distributed for the longest time. Economy code, otherwise known as your Steam backpack, has been added to allow for any of the Team Fortress 2 mods to interface and access with your personal Steam inventory. Developers of mods would be able to access and utilize any of the items that you have in base Team Fortress 2. So while it will take a little while for the major mods to not only update their game to run properly on the new codebase, but also to properly release on Steam, this is all fantastic news. Any of these mods can use Steam networking. Steam networking is a feature that allows individuals to run servers locally. So instead of needing to pay for a dedicated server or to port forward on your own locally hosted dedicated server, you can just run a game on your computer and your friends can join from there. This is a feature that was just added into Counter-Strike Source, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, Day of Defeat Source, and Team Fortress 2, but mod makers will also be able to utilize that. The ability to install these games, Open Fortress and TF2C in particular, will explode the player numbers, and they've always been fairly populated. Along with all of this, a new blog post was published. Quote, "Mod makers rejoice. We've just released a massive game update to Source SDK, adding all the Team Fortress 2 client and server game code. This update will allow content creators to build completely new games based on Team Fortress 2. We're also doing a big update to all of our multiplayer back catalog Source Engine titles, TF2, Day of Defeat Source, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, Counter-Strike Source, and Half-Life Deathmatch Source, adding 64-bit binary support, a scalable HUD and user interface, prediction fixes, and a lot of other improvements. Unlike the Steam Workshop or local content mods, this SDK gives mod makers the ability to change, extend, or rewrite Team Fortress 2, making anything from small tweaks to complete conversions possible. The SDK is licensed to users on a non-commercial basis, meaning that any mod created using the SDK must be free, and any content in those mods must be free. TF2 mods may be published on the Steam store, and after publication will appear as new games in the Steam game list. Players have a lot of investment in their TF2 inventories, and Steam Workshop contributors have created a lot of that content. The majority of items in the game now are thanks to the hard work of TF2 community members. To respect that, we're asking TF2 mod makers continue to respect that connection and to not make mods that have the purpose of trying to profit off Workshop creators' efforts. We're hoping that many mods will continue to allow players to access their Team Fortress 2 inventories if that makes sense for the mod. They then published an updated FAQ section specifically related to the Team Fortress 2 mods. Question: where do I get the TF2 SDK? Answer: the TF2 SDK is part of the Source SDK 2013, which is available on GitHub or via Steam. Question: what access does the TF2 SDK have to players' item inventories? Answer: the SDK can access a read-only version of any player's inventories who runs the mod to get a list of items that the player is allowed to equip. This happens automatically in the default build of the SDK with TF2, but the mod maker will have control over what is actually used in the game. Mods mods cannot add or remove items from a TF2 player, nor modify any details of those items. A mod can control which items are equipped, have small changes, or completely reimagine what they do within the mod. Question: can playing a TF2 mod change my inventory or loadout? Answer: mods cannot change your loadout, inventory, or properties of items in Team Fortress 2 proper. Question: can I make a Team Fortress 2 mod where there are no items? Answer: yes, a mod can disable some or all of the economy items or some of the items. It really depends on what the mod is trying to accomplish. For a lot of mods, it's likely better to let players use their TF2 items, since players have a lot invested and will be more interested in the mods if their cosmetics come over. Question: can I make a TF2 mod where players can access all of the TF2 items? Answer: workshop contributions and players both have a lot of investment in their items, and that is something we want to continue to respect. We won't be allowing TF2 mods that are based around manipulating the items or economy. Question: can my mod redistribute Team Fortress 2 game files? Answer: no. TF2 mods can only redistribute their own game files and load TF2 content from a local install. Players will need TF2 installed to play any TF2 mod. This is a huge update and contains pretty much anything you could ever need to create a mod based on Team Fortress 2. This is, however, Valve honestly saying, okay guys, it's your turn. So if you want the heavy update, now you have the tools to make it. So look forward to an explosion of community creativity based within the Team Fortress 2 IP to be available for download for free from Steam. If you want to keep up with everything I'm working on, check out my Discord server, invite link down in the description below. Or if you want to support videos like this, get to see them early sometimes, get your name in the credits sometimes, check out my Patreon page also down below. Once again, I'm Tyler McVicker, the Passionate Gamer. I will see you all next time. Peace and hair grease. Adios.